I think can we start? The people will join eventually.
Sure. Just a
Okay.
minute.
Okay. Yeah. So good morning, all of you. So we are again here today for a wonderful session, session 3 of Westart Pre-Incubation Program for Women Startups. And where we are right now is first we have completed one session at from Spark to Structure, which was handled by Abid Abubakar. And you may have an understanding right now if you have more sparks in your hand. Every sparks are not a better one to make into a structure or a concept. And there is one idea which will work for future, which should be sustainable for the future. And the second session is was on design thinking. And if you have identified one idea, how to think in more customer-centric manner, that is what we have understood by the session in the session by Nakul and Jayashree Patnaik. Both are assistant professors in IIT Hyderabad. And completing these two sessions, we hope all the startups are in a stage with a clear idea about the solution, what they have to build for the future for their startup, and how to make that idea of that solution into a product model or a prototype. That is what we are trying to understand in today's session, and which is taken none other than Naurin Aisha. She is the successful women founder, one of the successful women founder in Kerala Startup Mission. And her startup, FemiSafe, is in a mission to support women, especially in Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, women and girls, to understand the importance of women wellness and hygiene. And FemiSafe is her startup, and she will explain more about her mission and her journey as a founder in FemiSafe everything. She's a TEDx speaker. She's a motivational speaker, and many some of the participants have attended yesterday's session, and they have already listened to her panel discussion. I hope so. And she has featured in Your Stories top 100 D2C brands in India also. And she's the perfect founder for a session like Lean Startup Model today. So I welcome Naurin, and it's a pleasure to welcome you for this session because you are also working in a women-centric platform or women upgrading or motivating women uh, to a healthy future is what you are meant to in your life. And this is a cohort of women founders. So it's a perfect option for you to be here. So I welcome you from my heart. And we have already attended to 20 participants are here. I'm expecting more to this session. And yeah, the session can be begin. Without further ado, the stages, yes, now, thank you.
Thank you so much, Aditya, for such elaborate introduction. So I'll just introduce myself very briefly. My name is Naureen, and I'm the co-founder of FemiSafe. So FemiSafe is an impact-driven, awareness-first female wellness and hygiene brand, and we focus on the Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. So we are a D2C brand. We have three categories of products, which is basically period care, grooming, and intimate care. And our first ever product was the menstrual cup, and it's one of the most impactful product that we see as because it has helped us to change the lives of around 1 lakh women. So just like you all, there was a time when even I was clueless when I was just starting. But luckily, I had a co-founder, so who's also my husband. So we started this in 2020 during the COVID time. So FemiSafe is a COVID baby. So me and Naseef, we were engaged, and unlike all the couples who were planning their wedding and honeymoon and everything, we were actually working on our startup. So we did learn a lot of things in the process of doing our startup. There were times when we were clueless. There were times when we did not know the pros and cons of certain things. But I think today, when you all are here, you guys are really lucky because there is a platform like this. Back in 2020, like these platforms were not so popular. So we learned a lot of things from YouTube. But I'm really happy to see you all women here. And I won't be taking a very boring lecturing kind of class, but I think I would talk more about how it worked for FemiSafe. And I think it will work for you guys also because even we are a startup, we just 4 year old. So we also started in a very lean way and now we are growing. So yeah, I think we can directly go into the session. So as you all know that we are going to cover a few things. I'll just name those things that we are majorly going to cover. Just give me a minute. Yeah, so one thing when we all venture into a business, it's definitely to solve a problem, right? The problem could be something that is already existing, or it could be something that is, the problem could be something for which a solution is already existing, but that does not mean that you have limitation. You can still bring a better solution to that problem. Because when we launched FemiSafe, there were a few brands who were already selling female wellness and hygiene products, but there was a gap that we identified because all the brands were selling only products, but a majority of the women in our country are still not aware about a lot of things, whether it be their, about their body, about their wellness, and all that. So we found the gap of lack of awareness. So that is what we are filling with FemiSafe. So obviously, we all have scope to start the same kind of business, but with a little bit of innovation. Then, of course, the next thing is product market fit. We have to check if once we launch our product into the market, is the market ready to accept it? Because when it comes to business, there's always this thing that right time, wrong product, wrong time, right product. So it's very, very important to check the product market fit. Then lean canvas is really important when you are starting a business because it's like your Bible. It will give you a very clear idea as in, who are your customers, what problem are you solving, who are your target consumers, how will their life be better, what relationships will you have with your supplier. So lean canvas, I will show a template of lean canvas over here and it's easily available on internet. Nonetheless, I will show it over here on the screen at the end of our session. And you all can work on it like an exercise because that actually will give you an idea and it will also help you improve the current idea that you have. Then we have, of course, customer needs. Customer needs, very, very important. Sometimes there are people who launch businesses, the product will be beautiful, the product will be amazing, but customers don't need it at that point of time. So it's really important to know what kind of product your customer needs. If there's any changes that is, required to be made, then of course there are a lot of techniques and there are certain metrics and KPIs that you can use to analyze if your business is product market fit. And if tomorrow from this lean canvas, if you make it to an MVP, will it be successful in the market? And another thing is, we all as business people, when we launch a brand, we're very attached to the brand, we're very attached to the product. But we all need to keep in mind that if the product or if the brand is not working, we have to pivot at the right time. I will definitely tell you a story that happened with FemiSafe. It might give you guys some inspiration wherein we had to do a certain pivot. But though it was a very difficult decision, but we did the pivot and that's why we are still, surviving right now. So I will share my screen. Just give me a minute. Yeah, is my screen visible to you all?
No,
Not yet.
uh, I can I can just see that you're started sharing the screen.
Okay, so it's gonna take some time. Let's give it a few minutes. Just try sharing it once again. Is my screen visible now? No. Just a minute. I'm sharing, but it shows that the screen sharing is paused. I have no idea why. Just give me a minute. How about now?
Yes.
Perfect.
Now it's okay. Yeah.
All right. So MVP. So this is basically like something that every new business person must have heard about, right? When we start a business, MVP, lean canvas, and everything. So I think one of the most important thing that when we start a business, നമ്മളിപ്പം ആരടുത്ത് പോയിട്ടും when we present our business, it's very important that we have an MVP. Idea is good, but then the real, the real game starts when your product is an MVP, which means it is ready to be set into the market. Once it's started in the market, there's a still long way to go. But if your product is minimum viable, that is, its viability is at least, let's say, 10%, it has some hope to be launched into the market. So as you can see in this Venn diagram, so we have minimum and we have viable, but that's not enough. If your product has to be minimum viable product, it has to be a good product for startups to build. It could be anything. It could be tech. It could be a D2C brand like mine, or it could be a tangible product, which basically should solve the problem of a consumer. That is what a minimum viable product means. Okay. Now, why do we need an MVP? So, as you all know, we all go into business to make money, right? We are not here to do charity. Yes or no, right? So, that is exactly why we need a minimum viable product. So that this product, when you sell it in the market, there is at least, you can sell it at least at some profit margin, and then it improves the life of a consumer, and this product is sustainable. It's not a product which is a very short trend. Now, how do we decide what features constitute an MVP? So I think when we started Femisafe, if I would give it my example, when we started Femisafe, we wanted to make sure that first, it solves the problem of a customer. Yes, it did. Second, if it is a product which is already there in the market, it needs to have a differentiation. You can launch the same product, no problem. It needs to have a differentiation. The differentiation could be In the product features, the differentiation could be in the way you market the product. Now, what can we do to validate our business hypothesis? That is, of course, the lean canvas and customer survey, which I will be talking about in the further slides. And now, where do we go from here? So let's move forward to the further slides. So this is going to be the session objective, that is to learn the concept of a minimum viable product in a lean startup setting. Because why we need to always focus on the lean startup template or the canvas is because not everybody can burn a lot of money in the beginning of their startup. That's point number one. So you need to be very, very, very lean. Second, how to construct an MVP in a startup team. So you might be the founders, but the team members that you're bringing in might not know anything about your product, right? Sometimes in a founding team, let's say I have started a business and I'm the only founder, but I need help from few other people who have different complementary skills. So the MVP should be so simple that even they understand that everybody in your team is on the same page with regards to the MVP. Now, to discern what are the considerations and decisions required to build an MVP. So as I said, MVPs, when you start or when you start working on an MVP, at any point of time, you might have to pivot. Now, what are the considerations or the decisions that you need to require to take when doing that pivot? So now I've told a lot about minimum viable product. Okay. So the minimum viable product is a version of a new product, which allows a team to collect the maximum amount of validated learning about the customers with the least effort. So when we were starting FemiSafe, we had one minimum viable product, which was a menstrual cup. But then that minimum viable product was already existing in the market, right? And we needed a new version of it. Now, to bring a new version of it, we have to make sure that you identify the current problems that the consumer is facing with the existing product. So this is very, very important. So now let's move forward. If you guys have any doubts when we are, like going forward, please put it in the chat box. Please feel free to stop me in the middle of the session and ask me questions so that we can, go forward clearing it. All right. Okay. Why do we need a minimum viable product? I'm going to make this very interactive. So can somebody just tell me why we need a minimum viable product? You all are somebody who's aspiring entrepreneurs. You all might have already, I have an idea. You all might have already thought of an MVP. Why do we need an MVP in the first place? Why can't we just take the product, launch it into the market and start making money? Anyone? You can put the questions in the chat. Please feel free to do that. I mean, put your answers in the chat box, or you can raise your hand. Anyone? See, this is going to be a very interactive session, so I will need you guys to talk. Anybody? Okay, I've got one.
Can I?
Yeah, sure, please.
Yeah, it might be to help us, make a viable product enough for the customer, because only the early users can tell us what is the, a good feedback will come from them, so that, we can work accordingly.
Perfect. Yeah.
And I have one more question in this thing. Initially, you mentioned that product market fit.
Yes.
And you said that, we have to make a product and then, find out if it fits the market. But is that done after the product or before launching the product?
Okay. So to answer that question, it should be ideally done before starting before launching the product. Why? Because after you launch the product, so let's say a product, let's say it's probably a phone, all right? So when you launch a phone, to check its minimum viability, so when you're manufacturing a phone, there's a minimum amount of like let's say if you're manufacturing a phone, you need to have at least, let's say, 1,000 quantity or 2,000 quantity to be manufactured. So all these 1,000 quantities, if it's still an MVP and you are just launching it, waiting for the customer's review, it's going to be very capital intensive for you, right? So it is always better to do a small batch testing. So that's what we did with FemiSafe. What we did was we had multiple samples and we gave it to our friends and family. So when you're testing the MVP, it could be your friends and family. It could be if you already have if you're launching a new product. Um, but you already have a startup and you have a set of customers, you can do that also. You can give it to your existing customers and get the review. So I think it's very, very important if you're going in a very lean way for a startup to make it cost effective. It is better to like just launch a small sample of the product and then take a review, because at the end of the day you will have to make small pivots in the product. So we don't want to have an entire product which is already launched and but the customers want a very different one and that goes into that stock, right? So it's better to have a small batch and a small viable product, let's say 10-15, that's more than enough. You get the proper review for it, you rework on it, and then you launch your final product. And it's not always possible to make the perfect product for everybody, because everybody has different preferences, different choices. But here we're going to target a larger pool of customers, right? So this is exactly why we need the minimum viable product, because
Can you,
it involves. Yeah.
can you explain that in terms of a service, not a product?
Okay.
Mine is a service.
All right. So
So will a
service.
market research or a customer testimonial, which we've already been doing, all this help in creating that?
Of course it will. So how we can basically do it, let's say you have a service product which is basically a Power BI. All right, it's a Power BI. What you can do is, usually people do not, as far as I have known, people do not directly come up with a Power BI. It's basically a CA firm or an accounting firm. They already have consumers, they already have clients, they're working on the client, they're working with the clients and everything. So if you have a basic structure of the Power BI, you could probably help your existing clients to implement this Power BI, right? And you could tell them to use it. You can tell them to use it end to end, probably give a demo or whatever. Then you can take the feedback from them and keep working on it. So that's what a lot of technology companies do. Let's say, for example, PhonePe. So PhonePe is a UPI payment app, but now they have launched a payment gateway also, like Razorpay. So what they do is they reach out to companies who are already using payment gateways. They give a 20 minutes, 30 minutes demo of their product. Then they give a 1 month free trial. And during that period of time, they take all the feedbacks from the customers or the clients and they work on it, and then they finally launch a product. Then, as I said, a lot of perfectionism happens on the way. So I think it's a learning in progress thing. But to launch a minimum viable product, you can do this with your peer that you have already, your existing network. You can definitely do that when it comes to service as well as products. So yeah, so this is exactly why we need minimum viable product, because without a minimum viable product, if you go to the market, just be sure that you're not going to sustain. Now, as I said about a customer or a client who is going to test your product, the goal is to test the product. Okay, your goal as a service company or as a D2C company, your goal is to test the understanding of the customer, how well the customer understands the product. There is no point of launching products which is of rocket science, but your consumer can't use it, right? Then you will have to put double effort to teach your consumers about it, which is a lot of waste of time. Very simple product you have to launch, give it to your consumers. Hello. All right, yeah. So very, very simple product you're supposed to launch. give it to your consumers, and it should solve an existing problem. Give it to your consumers, let them use it according to whatever their requirement is. You will definitely get a review on what features you have to add and what features you have to remove. This is exactly why we need an MVP. So anybody of you, no matter whatever business you're starting, it could be a service business, it could be a D2C brand, it could be an tech, whatever, have an MVP which is already built, not just a very vague idea. Have an MVP which is already built. Give it to maximum number of people whom you know, who trust in you, who are loyal with you, and they're going to give you the right review saying that this is not working, that's not working, this is what you have to fix, that's what you fix. It's going to save you a lot of time once you enter the market. So early adopters love to use MVP. So that's what I said. So if you're a service industry, you might already have clients. All right, they are your loyal clients. And once you have a loyal client or once you have a loyal customer, they love to use the MVPs. Let's say even Instagram or even iPhone launches beta versions of each software. Why do you think they do that? They do it so that they get the they get the suggestions from their existing customers, and that's what we did with FemiSafe. So when we were launching our first product, we gave the products to around 10 to 15 people. We got the reviews from them and we changed it. We did 1 or 2 iterations and we launched the product. Now 2 years down the lane, when we felt that okay, we have to improve the design of one of our menstrual cup, what we again did is we reached out to our existing loyal customers. We asked them, can you try this? They said yes, they will try it. And they gave us such an amazing review, which was very honest, and it helped us actually work on it. So creating an MVP and giving it to your loyal people to try and test it out helps you with early pivot. You don't want to launch a product wherein you've invested, let's say 1 crore, 2 crores, and then you understand, oh, the audience or the customers are not accepting your product. Gone. Your 1 or 2 crores is like literally gone. So that's exactly why you need an MVP. So yeah, MVPs refine the solution, eliminates the product scope creep. So as I said earlier, even, because as a consumer, as founders, when we launch a product, that product is our baby, right? We'll find no flaw in it. Even if there is any flaw, we'll be like, it's okay, everybody's going to love it. But when you give an MVP to a customer, they're going to scrutinize it end to end. They're going to be the worst criticism that they're going to get, but that will actually help you improve your product. It will help you in, launching less defective product, or it will help you in not pulling back your product from your market and definitely saving you a lot of money. So the goal of MVP is to build the smallest feature set, which a consumer needs. So when it comes to menstrual cup, the smallest feature consumer needs is basically, it should hold enough blood. It should be easy to insert. That's it. But when it's a phone, the basic feature set is it should have a good camera. You should be able to call through the phone. That's it. So if these 2 things, your customers are satisfied, then you can just keep going forward. And then, as I said, the remaining things, you can just, probably get it ready over the period of time. But your MVP should have the basic requirement that a customer needs. It could be anything. Even if you're a creator, let's say, even if you're a social media creator, whoever is following you needs to have whatever they want from you, right? You have a set of audience, you're giving them crap or you're giving them what the audience does not want, they're not going to come back to you. That is exactly why a lot of creators, a lot of social media influencers, they come and put up a story saying that, hey, let me know what videos you would like to see from me. That's basically they're creating their MVP. They're testing their MVP. So every industry, every kind of entrepreneur needs to build an MVP. It will save them a lot of time and definitely a lot of money. So these are few of the examples of the minimum viable product that's quite famous. So let's say we have Apple, of course. So even now, the latest software update that has come in iPhone is iOS 18. But then what they did is they launched the iOS 18 beta version to few consumers or to few users. Now, these users will tell it whether it's good or bad or whatever has to be removed or whatever has to be still kept in the phone or in the software. So even the biggest of the biggest companies will definitely still, if they're iterating their current products or softwares, they will still send it to their consumers so that you get a report on how well your product is. Now, how do you decide the features of an MVP? This differs from industry to industry. What I would basically say is in an MVP, less is more. You don't want to have too many features. No, keep it very simple, right? Let's say you have a product which has two features. Both these features should be usable by the consumer. Okay. You think that, okay, creating an MVP, I need the best reviews from my customer. You give them hundreds of features. They only know to use two features. What is going to be their review? They'll be like, I don't know to use the remaining 98 features. I know to use only these two features. So less is more. You can keep implementing. Just like when we launched FemiSafe, we launched only one product, which is a menstrual cup and the sterilization cup, because the menstrual cup and the sterilization cup came as a combo, and the sterilization cup was actually solving a problem of sterilizing the menstrual cup. After that, each month we got consumers telling us that, hey, can you launch this product? Can you launch that product? That is exactly how we launched remaining of our 11 products. So less is more. That's principle one of launching or creating an MVP. Next thing is the most boring feature is the most important one. So let's say we have a car, all right? There are a lot of features in a car, which is basically sunroof, then there is automatic door opening and all that. The basic feature is the car should be drivable, right? It might seem boring when you launch a car. It might seem boring, but that is the most important one. Same with Instagram, right? You want to upload a picture, okay? There are filters, there are, like a lot of GIFs and everything, but you want to upload a picture. It might seem boring when you're launching a product, but it's the most important one. If there is no uploading speed for the picture, what's the whole purpose of Instagram? So the most boring feature should be the most important one. We don't want, as I said, we don't want a lot of, too many features, nothing. Very simple, very, very use case kind of features should be there in your MVP. Principle 3, the path of least resistance, that is minimize the friction. How easy it is for your consumers to use the product. As I said, we don't want rocket science products. We all are in the era of convenience, right? Now, convenience comes in different ways. For a lot of people, it is, being it easy to use because it saves time, right? It's not a lot of headache. You don't have to remember a lot of things. So that's how Pinterest is a very good example of that. It has nothing literally. People have started using it for posting content and everything, but it's very simple. You type in a thing, just like Google results. It's like a it's like a world of catalogs, basically. Pinterest. You all might have used Pinterest. So the process has to be very simple. Now, I recently had been to a place where I wanted to test a product. So there was a lot of, there were a lot of criteria to test that product, which is basically I had to enter my name, my home address, my email address and everything. There was a lot of friction because it was a waste of time for me. I just wanted to test that product. You can take my phone, you can take my name, no problem. But why the house address? Why all these details? Why my age? That age, everything was not required for that product. So least resistance, minimize the friction in your product. You can make friction and everything later in future, but minimize the friction of your product when you're creating an MVP, because nobody has time now. Even if you're giving somebody to check the product, it should be very smooth. That is why we also tell when you're building a website for your brand or for your service, make sure the website is very quick. The speed of the website loading should be very, very fast because we all are in a very fast era. And if you want your consumers to sign up on your website, only name and phone number, that's it, nothing else. Minimize the friction. as much as possible. All right. Now, principle 4 is think of scarcity, which is demand versus supply, right? Okay, I'm sorry, I just lost you guys in a minute. Yeah. So think scarcity, which is demand versus supply. Now, let's say you now this is an example of a mailbox, right? So usually the mailbox app, we don't open it much, but we still receive a lot of very important emails. So what was lacking over there initially was a notification, the push notification, because we all need to be reminded to do certain things, right? So that was a scarcity that the mailbox, this is again the iOS or Apple mailbox, they saw the scarcity and started push notifications. And even in this push notification, you can actually choose for what all emails you want the reminder, and they're going to remind you saying that you haven't read this. So demand versus supply is a very important thing. Think of scarcity. Now, that does not mean that, again, you launch a product which is like rocket science, nobody has ever found it. No, please make it very simple. Because the more complicated a product is, the more turn off it is for a consumer. Yeah. So focus on, principle 5 is focus on closing the loop for the user. All right. So basically, when a user enters an app or starts using a product, that is not the end point. The end point is when they finish using the product, right? So being able to start using the product easily is really good. But you need to be able to stop using the product also very easily. So let's say we have Uber. All right, Uber is a very good example. You get into Uber, you book a cab and everything. And then when your ride is over, you automatically get a notification that this is your ride. You have to pay so much, so much. Imagine if the consumer had to go back to the app, calculate the distance, how much he's traveled, and then calculate the amount. It's going to be such a headache, right? So when you start a loop for the user, always make sure you close it. So the easy part should be there in the beginning and also at the end. Now, principle 6 of an MVP is iterate and refine with user feedback and usage data. This is something that I've been telling from the beginning of time. Keep reiterating. There is no problem in it. So I'll give an example of what happened with FemiSafe. It might be more relatable to you guys than just showing all these pie charts. So when we launched FemiSafe in the second year, in 2021, 2022, we were doing really good. And that is when there was a trend of skincare. Everybody was like, using skincare too much. And so we were like, okay, we already have a D2C brand. How difficult is it going to be for us to launch another brand? And I'm somebody who is very enthusiastic about skincare. And I love learning about new things. I've also learned cosmetic formulation. So I was like, okay, me and my co-founder, we both spoke and we were like, let us start probably, a skincare brand. How difficult is it going to be, right? We started the skincare brand. That's when we realized you can manage only one business at a time when you're doing a startup. That's point number 1. Point number 2, we got user feedback saying that there had been few iterations to be made in the product, right? At that point of time, we were not able to make the iterations for the product because it was capital heavy and it was shifting our focus from FemiSafe. So what we did is we winded up that brand for now. And it was very, early stage, like very early stage. It ran only for hardly 3 to 4 months. That's when we took the user feedback and they said that you have a long way to improve your products. We were like, okay, at this point of time, we can't focus on 2 things. So let's wind it up. So that is exactly why user feedback is very, very important. Very, very important. Even the products that FemiSafe has now, we have iterated it multiple times based on user feedback. Our website, we have iterated it multiple times based on user feedback. The kind of ads we run for FemiSafe, we have iterated it based on user feedback. User feedback is your Bible. make sure to use it as much as possible. Yeah. So along with the user metrics, another thing that we have to also, like for example, sometimes what happens is when we get user metrics, when we get metrics from people, there are cases where we might have to shut down the product, right? But there might be some metrics that inspire both the users and us to come back with a product. That is very important. So let's say, classic example, I was somebody who was using a Samsung phone for a very long period of time. But then when I felt that, I need a better phone, I started using iPhone. On the other hand, my husband was using an iPhone for like 10 years. He was like, I'm tired of iPhone. Let me just try another phone, which is probably OnePlus. He started using OnePlus for like 1 year. At the end of 1 year, he ditched the phone and he came back to iPhone. So iPhone had some killer metrics that inspired the users to come back. One was camera. The other one was definitely the build quality of the phone. And the third one was definitely how easy the OS was, the operating system of the phone was. So your product also needs to have another thing, which is metrics that inspire the users to come back. So when it comes to our menstrual cups, for example, unlike other menstrual cups, we make sure that our menstrual cups are not of a matte finish, but of a glossy finish, at least on the inside of the menstrual cup, so that the blood does not stain the cup, right? So this is a metric that keeps, like our users, they keep coming back to us. It might not be the same user who's using it, but it's the same user who buys it for her friends and family. So make sure when you're creating an MVP of a product, there has to be at least 3 metrics, which kind of, puts a thought in your user's mind that, okay, maybe even if they shift to another brand, there should be some killer metrics which push them to come back to your brand. That is, again, where the success of your MVP is. Now, principle 7, again, be prepared to pivot if it's not working. Because as entrepreneurs, I think even if it's for you guys, even if it's for me, it's very difficult to let go for product, even if it's not working, right? I think everybody is going to agree with it. Just raise your hands if you guys are going to agree with it, right? Yeah. So the same thing was with me also. When we launched a skincare brand, it was very, very difficult for me to let go of it because of the hours I put in working in it, because of the passion I had towards it. But we don't have an option. I mean, if it's not working, it's not working. That's it. Now we had something called Orkut, back then. I think I was a kid back then. We had Orkut, but nobody uses it anymore because they did not pivot when they had to pivot, right? Then there are certain big companies who were completely focused on CDs, for movies. They did not pivot digitalize when they were required to digitalize. And now they're not there anymore. So if you do not pivot, you need to be ready to die. If you want to live forever, you need to pivot. It's just like we all humans, right? We all evolve, we all learn new things over the period of time. And if we don't learn, it's equal to being a dead body. So be prepared to pivot whenever it's possible. Yeah. So we have come to the end of the whole MVP presentation, and I'm going to next share you definitely a slide of lean canvas. That is something that has helped me so much. And I was introduced to lean canvas after I started my business, because as I said, back then we didn't have all these resources, we didn't have all these cohorts. So I think in 2020 we started, in 2022 was that I learned about the lean canvas, and it helped me a lot to improve my business, right? So when you're building an MVP, remember that your business is your baby. There will be a lot of, what do you say, a lot of opinions from different people. You can learn from everyone. Let's take the input for everyone. That's exactly what, we do when we do taking reviews from customers. Take reviews from everybody, right? That's one thing. But 100 customers and 100 people might have 100 reviews. You cannot implement all those in your product. It's very difficult. Observe the patterns. Observe the patterns of the people in your same industry. Because when somebody asks me, who is my role model, or who is somebody who's inspired me in business, I don't have a name to take. But then it's definitely a lot of my co-founders, a lot of my founder friends, or a lot of people who are already in the industry that I'm working in, from whom I've learned the patterns, and it helps you save a lot of time. You can learn the mistakes they've made, so it helps you save a lot of time, not making the same mistakes. And another thing is, if you're coming into a startup, you need to work like hell, because a lot of people come into startup thinking that oh, I'm going to be my own boss, I'm going to have holiday I can take whenever I want. No, that's not going to happen. You need to work like hell. You need to work more than everybody, because in the end, it's your baby, right? Parents have to take care of their babies. Nobody's going to come and take care of it. So it's very important that these 4 points was something that I learned over the period of time, because when we started FemiSafe, there were a lot of opinions from different places. Do that, do this. A lot of people told us that menstrual cup alone you can't survive, though we have other 10 products. They were like, launch sanitary pads, launch that, launch this. We're like, no, let's just listen from everybody, follow no one, observe the patterns in the industry, and just keep working. All right, so I'm going to just open up a 5-minute Q&A session. If you guys, anybody have any questions, please ask before we move to the lean canvas template. That's a very simple template. I'm going to present it over here, and I'm just going to tell you, it's like an exercise. You guys have to make sure that you guys work on it. And just, if you have a vision board or anything, just paste it over there. It is definitely going to help you to pivot, to build your MVP, and to get a clarity on what you are building. Because sometimes as entrepreneurs, we don't have clarity. Not everybody has planned the next 10, 20 years ahead. So yeah, so let's have a small session of Q&A, Aditya. I think that works.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Anybody, any Q&A?
Yeah, unmute and speak, right? You can
Yeah.
unmute and speak. That is a question from Adira.
All right. Is it in the chat?
Yes, steps you do to connect with your users to get the relevant or genuine feedback other than friends and family.
All right. So what we have done is, recently we have changed the models of few of our products, the designs. So this is in the case if you have existing customers, what you can do is you can reach out to them. So see, data is very important. That's one thing. You need to use the data that you already have with you. So we have a data of customers who have bought our products like 10 times, 12 times, 13 times, 14 times. We reach out to those customers because we know that they are our loyal customers. We reach out to them, we send them our products, and we tell them, please do a beta testing. Please test it and tell us your honest reviews. So that's what we do to get a feedback from our customers, because I think they're very honest. Friends and families, there might be a little bit of biased opinion, but your customers are going to give you like very, very harsh opinion, and that has really helped us. Yeah. So you can do that if you have existing network of customers. But if not, and other platform that I would suggest is, I have seen a lot of my peers doing it. There will be these exhibitions, whether you're a tech, whether you are a product company, whatever. You can go for these exhibitions or put up stalls. Keep your products over there. All right. Let the people who are walking in test your product. And what you can tell them is, please test this product, give us your honest review. That also works really well. It does work really well, because yesterday I had been for an event and there was a brand who just started their chocolate. I tested the product. They told me to give me my feedback. I gave them the feedback, and now probably they might be working on it. They might not be working on it, but yeah, you can do that also. How is the revenue, profit, and all when you begin your venture with a single product? Okay, so revenue, profit, definitely when you're a startup, please do not look at the profits, because that's going to probably divert your attention. So profit is not something that we looked at when we were starting FemiSafe. Yes, we wanted to become break even, but not profitable so soon, because startup definitely we give startups a 5-year time. Revenue, when we started, I think the first year we had around 40 lakhs. That was with 3 products. So we started with 1 product the first month. I mean, 2 products the first month. And then after 2 months, we launched another 2 products. So basically 4 products, and the revenue was around 40 lakhs. So so from there now we've come a really long way. This is 1 year revenue that I'm telling, 40 lakhs. So from there we've come a really long way. Yeah. Anybody else? If you have any questions, please put it in the chat. And another thing is, when you are, probably doing an MVP, please involve your friends and families, because sometimes they might, give you really honest reviews. And even after you launch your product, if it's a product or if it's a tech product, also like tell your friends and families to involve and try it out and purchase it, because they have to be your first customers, because the strangers are not going to buy from you on the very first day. So let your friends and family buy from you, which overall increases your confidence, and then it helps you work. It's more of a psychological thing. It increases your confidence, it helps you work better, and then you just keep going. Yeah. So do we have any other questions? Any tips on how do you determine the right balance between minimum and viable in an MVP to ensure it effectively tests your core hypothesis without over or under engineering the product? So honestly, if you ask me for any tips regarding that, there is no tip. Everything in a business is like, you learn in the process. You don't get things right in the first go. So over engineering, you can definitely avoid. As I said, please do not put too many features in your product. Please make it very easy for your consumers, because if it's not easy for your consumers, they're honestly not going to use it. It's going to be a very big turnoff. Because I recently did a test drive for a car, and that car had too many features. It's like the moment I enter in the car, there are a lot of beeps. There is front sensor, back sensor, 360-degree sensor, blind spot sensor. It was a very big turn off for me, because I wanted a very simple car which was comfortable, which would take me from point A to point B, which was spacious. So make sure you don't over engineer it. And under engineering, I think we all know, right, the problem that we are solving. So our problem നമുക്ക് അറിയുന്നുണ്ട്, നമ്മൾ എന്തായാലും under engineer ചെയ്യില്ല. But again, we can, even if it's by mistake, if it gets under engineered, we have our customers. Indian customers are very brutal and very honest. If they like the product, they'll just grab it. If they don't like it, they're just going to ignore it. So yeah, over engineering ചെയ്യാണ്ടിരിക്കാൻ നോക്കാം maximum. Under engineering, you can still improve it, but if you know your product well, you can avoid a lot of under engineering. What are the marketing strategies that you use? So the first marketing strategy that we used was definitely social media. It has helped us a lot. When we first launched our product, we launched it on Flipkart, because during the COVID time, Flipkart had access to almost all the cities, all the pin codes, unlike Amazon. So we wanted to reach maximum people. So the marketing strategy that we used was definitely initially, when we didn't have money, because Google ads, Meta ads, Facebook ads are all very expensive. So we use social media. Collaborate with influencers, put your product, market your own product, be shameless in marketing your product, trust me. You do a video, you dance for the product, do whatever. So that was the first marketing strategy that we used. And because the gap that we were trying to fill was a little different from the other brands, wherein we were trying to fill the gap of lack of awareness. So we did community engagements. I'm a menstrual educator, so I used to take menstrual education sessions. So these are all the ways that how we kind of marketed our product. Can we employ interns for making the first prototype? Yes, of course you can. There are so many brilliant minds as interns. You can definitely employ them. I think Aditya can also help you in getting in touch with interns. A lot of interns are in touch with KSUM. Now, how can you reach out to them if you approach it technically? How do I ensure there is no IPR infringement? So you can have an MOU with them for sure, because I have a friend. You all might have heard his, company name with Zara Biotech. So he hires interns, and they make a lot of products from algae. So he hires interns, and there's an MOU. So basically, you can just sign up an MOU, an NDA, and you're good to go. So interns, I think it's a very good choice because they're very, very, very energetic. They're also in the starting of their career. They want to do a lot of things. They want to achieve a lot of things. So you can definitely go for interns. So there's another question. I'm having an idea on a tech startup and it requires a prototype building. What or where is any source which can help me in building a prototype of my product? All right. So first thing, let me know what kind of product are you building? So if there's anybody in my, ecosystem or anybody whom I know in my circle, I could probably just connect you with them. So just let me know what tech product are you actually looking to build, because tech products, there are many tech products. There's HR tech, then there is, accounts tech, there's a lot of tech. So just let me know about that. Okay, so it's robotics and AI related that can help disable. All right, so you can probably you might need help of somebody who is into AI. I think Aditya, we have a lot of startups in KSUM, right, who is into AI, like robotics, Gen AI we have. So, I think Aditya, if you can please help Sasna MS to just connect with somebody. I'm not sure, Sasna, if they will help you build it, but they can definitely give you some insights based on their experience. So, yeah, you can, actually do that. How's the initial reaction of introducing a taboo topic into the right society? How's it? Oh my God, that was very difficult, very, very difficult because when we started FemiSafe in 2020, though we were still in 21st century, not a lot of people were talking about it. And especially when a couple, like who are very young, 24, 26-year-old couple who started, people were like, they didn't take us seriously. A lot of people thought that because we were newly married, a lot of people thought that, oh, it's my home business and my husband is helping me in it, my supportive husband. Another set of people thought that it was my husband's business and me being a very supportive housewife after all the household chores, I'm going and helping him. So that's what a lot of people actually thought. But then initially, yes, we were a little upset because people were not taking it seriously. That's very difficult for an entrepreneur. You put so much heart, you put so much work into building a startup, and then nobody takes you seriously. But when they actually saw, it's like actions speak louder than words. When they actually saw us, going up step by step, they were like, oh, these guys are actually doing something. So the validation that we got from our customers and the general public really helped us. So I think just keep doing. So there's this one thing that I tell everybody when they're building a startup: stay away from your home, build a startup, get successful, and then come back. Because if you are in your hometown, there's going to be a lot of people who is basically going to, um, probably discourage you and ask you a lot of questions. Why can't you work? Why can't you do a government job? That's better. So just stay away from all those noise. Just do what you're meant to do and just come back, because to be an entrepreneur takes a lot of courage, which people don't understand. Yeah. Yeah, do we have any other questions, or we can probably skip to the template? Yeah, see, all the entrepreneurs are actually able to, relate, because taking that bold step to leave the job and be an entrepreneur, I think it's that is something should actually be, applauded. Yeah. So how do we have any more questions, or can we just move to the template? Just let me know in the chat box. Meanwhile, I'll just start sharing the screen for the template. All right. So I'll just stop sharing the screen and let me just open the business model canvas. All right. Is my screen visible? No, I don't think it is. Is it visible, guys? Aditya, is it visible?
No, no, no.
No, my God. Just a minute. There's some issue with my Zoom. It shows. Wait, I will share it once again. Okay, can you all see it in the chat? I'm not able to share the screen. You all just open it in your chat. I hope you all received it. All right. So, did you all get it? Okay. So, what I'm going to do is let me just. Is my screen visible now? Just tell
No,
me what. Not yet. Oh my God. Okay, this is.
it's just showing Naurin Aisha has started screen sharing.
I think there is some delay. I don't know what's wrong with my Zoom. Let me just. How about now, Aditya? What is it showing?
No, nothing.
Oh my God. Okay, but I hope everybody has received it in their chats, right? Can you all open it? All right. Okay, so since you all have it, I'll also open it over here. So this is the business model canvas. All right. Just stop me in between if you guys have any doubts. You can just put it in the chat. So this business model canvas is going to be your Bible, as I said earlier. So as you can see, it has a few sections. Okay. One is the first thing that you're going to start with is customer segments. So what you're going to fill in it is basically നിങ്ങളുടെ customers ആരാണ് നിങ്ങളുടെ customers, for whom are you creating this value, and who are your most important customers. So for an example I will give you, if I am to write in that, I would say we are creating this value for women. Okay, and our most important customers are women or female. Yeah, I think now it's presenting, right? Oh, you Aditya presenting? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I tried it.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. So if you were to ask me how I would put it, it would basically be my customers are women for sure. And inside that, you have to even again break down, which is minus women between the age of 15 to 25 years. Okay. Then in that, again, what you have to do is where you have to write whether it is a mass market product or whether it is a niche market product, or is it diversified or multi-sided platform. So for FemiSafe, it is a mass market product. It's not a niche wherein we do it only like premium or luxury kind of product. So that is something you have to write very clearly over there, who your customers are. Okay, for whom are you creating this value, who are the most important customers, and is this a niche market or mass market. After you write the niche market, mass market, segment the customers. For example, 15 to 25 years old is already segmented. Now if it is diversified as in which section are you targeting. So FemiSafe targets tier 2 tier 3 cities. We don't want to target tier 1 very creamy rich people, because ours is a mass market. So you have to mention even that. Okay, so customer segments, that is what you have to write it very clearly. Now next is customer relationships. What type of relationship is each of our customer segment expects us to establish and maintain with them. So relationship is basically, now if you are a tech company, your relationship is going to be very different. If you're a brand, your relationship is going to be very different. So for FemiSafe, the relationship is basically we are providing them healthier and sustainable alternatives which they can use for their life, and we're actually improving their overall wellness. Okay, so the relationship that we're trying to establish with them is we are basically their kind of, we want them to see us as their best friends, because FemiSafe's tagline is a woman's best friend. We want them to see us as their best friends, that we are here to solve all their problems. Next is how are they integrated with the rest of our business model. So if you are a customer centric brand, you need to make sure that there is a continuous communication between you and the customer. It could be for problem solving, it could be for grievances, it could be for doubts, it could be for anything, and how costly they are. So I think today most of us use like social media. It's not that costly. Instagram definitely not at all costly, so you can mention that. Now there are some examples given, which is personal assistant. So we don't give personal assistance as such, but if somebody comes and DMs us, we definitely respond them. Then there are automated services, of course. So we provide that also. Now, next is your value proposition. Value proposition for each brand, it differs. It is very important to have a value proposition because value proposition എന്താണോ അതാണ് towards അതാണ് നിങ്ങളുടെ customers നിങ്ങളിലേക്ക് attract ആവുന്നത്. So what value do you deliver to your customer? So we deliver, Femisave delivers a very easy and convenient period and female wellness, or a very convenient life to women, which makes their period days easy. Then which one of our customers' problems are we helping to solve? Other, everybody should write it down. നിങ്ങളുടെ customers എന്ത് problem ആണ് solve ചെയ്യുന്നത്. What bundles of products and services are we offering to each customer segment? Okay, if you have multiple customer segments, let's say you are a hospital. So the bundles of products and services for each customer segment will be different because there are different age groups. Which customer needs are we satisfying? So when it comes to Femisave, our customers' need is basically they want to maintain their health and hygiene properly. So that is one thing that we are helping them. Excuse me. Then it would be, managing periods easily. So that is the customer needs that we are satisfying. So when you're writing these things, you have to also write the characteristics. That is whether you're getting the job done, whether you're customizing. If you have a customized value proposition, that also involves, are you providing cost reduction? Very, very important. So as I said, Femisave is a brand that is into female wellness and hygiene. Sorry, I just lost you guys. Yeah. So over there, we provide products to customers which are at reduced cost than the other brands. Like, for example, we have brands who are competitors who focus on the tier 1 cities. We focus on tier 2 and tier 3 because we want to make it accessible to everybody, and convenience and usability. Of course, you as a brand or your product, how convenient and how usable is it to your consumers? Now, next we will be going to the key activities. What key activities do our value propositions require? Now, for example, if your key activity is providing a service, you will definitely require a service provider. You might require few other suppliers, few people to help you reach this service to your customer. So for Femisave, we definitely need distribution channels. We need suppliers, we need manufacturers, and all these things we will definitely require. That's where it's given production, problem solving, and platform. So production, of course, we have manufacturers. Problem solving, we will require somebody to handle the customer support. And next is platform. So we need platforms like Amazon, Flipkart, and all these things to sell our product. Next is key partners. Who are our key partners? So for Femisave, key partners are definitely our manufacturers, suppliers, the e-commerce platforms, Amazon, Flipkart, Snapdeal, Nykaa, all these are. Who are our key suppliers? You can write down the key suppliers. Probably for the service industry, it could be the designers or anybody of that sort. Now, which key resources are we acquiring from partners? So for Femisave, we are acquiring the distribution or logistics, which is a key resource for us. We are acquiring it from our partners. So we have a lot of courier partners working with us to make sure that the product reaches from point A to point B. Which key activities do the partners perform? This is again more elaborated version of your key activities. What all key activities do your partners perform? So our partners perform manufacturing, of course. They perform logistics, definitely. Then we also have few third-party warehouses. So they also help us in storing our products in different locations. So that's about key partners. Now, the next is channels. Through which channels do your customer segments want to be reached? For Femisave, of course, it is WhatsApp, Instagram, Google, and all these places. How are you reaching them now? We reach them through meta ads, through content. So it could be different for your brand. Now, how are these channels integrated? Social media channels are definitely, it's more like a public platform. There's nothing to be integrated. But WhatsApp, yes, there are certain WhatsApp tools which help you communicate with each customer one-on-one, which is basically you don't have to type in messages. There'll be already a bot that will be responding. So we are tied up with few people like that. Now, which channel works for you best? So ഇതൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ ചെയ്യുന്നത് ഒരു business MVP ready ആയ ശേഷമാണ്. So once the MVP is ready, now this is basically a business canvas model. This business canvas model can change from time to time to time. So when I made the business canvas model in 2022, it's not the same now. It's very different. We have more partners. It's like for us initially, Amazon used to work best. Then it became website. Then now Flipkart works best. So even like that, it keeps changing. Which ones are the most cost efficient, and how are integrating them with customer routines? So there are a few other things that's written below. That is regarding the channel partners. Just a minute, I'll open my, yeah. So channel faces, awareness. How do you raise awareness about your company's products and services? FemiSafe does it through Instagram, through ads, through community engagements, through social media. Then evaluation, how do we help customers evaluate an organization's value proposition? So every brand or every brand owner should know their value proposition. At the same time, customers should also know. Now, how are your customers evaluating it? When we give them at a lesser price, they're like, okay, this is an affordable. So that's a value proposition. Another thing is when we talk to customers, most of the brands, they just, don't reply to customers on Instagram, but we do that. So, we are helping the customers also understand that we give them a very, I wouldn't say personalized, but we're always there to help them. Now, purchase. How do we allow the customers to purchase specific products and services? We allow it through e-commerce platforms, through our website, and we're also available in few retail stores. Delivery. How do we deliver a value proposition to customers? This is again, depending, the value proposition could be delivered through your product, could be delivered through your service, could be delivered through the way you're marketing your product. After sales, how do we provide post-purchase customer support? That's very, very, very different from, for tech companies, it's different, for a brand, it's different. So these are all things that you have to basically think, brainstorm. If you have a co-founder who, co-founders usually have very complementary skills. So sit, think about it, and then you have to fill it. Now, next we have is key resources. So what key resources do our value propositions require? Now, FemiSafe's value proposition is we provide healthy products, and we provide better quality products, and also at the same time at a more affordable cost. So what key resources do we need for this? So we'll have to mention that. It could be a distribution channel. It could be, the way we are manufacturing the products. It could be a manufacturing so many products that we get it at a lower cost. So the types of resources can be physical. It can be, probably patents, or that is basically, it could be intellectual, or it could be human or financial. So for example, if we need a product, we will need human resources also, because we need to pack the products and all these things. We will definitely need physical, and we'll also need financial. And of course, brand patents, because for every brand, if you're launching a brand, you need to register it. So the key proposition or the value proposition is also through the brand name that you're providing. FemiSafe. So something safe for female. So that's a trademark that we have taken. So that's again a key resource, which is basically intellectual. Now, I think next we have key partners. We've already covered, I believe. What activities are we taking from? And then now we have the cost structure, which is again, it might be confusing for you initially, but you will have to sit on it for 2 to 3 days. Only then it's going to help you. So what are the most important costs in your business model? It differs from business to business. I think for a tech company, they will not have too much of capital, because most of the tech companies are work from home. It might just be, the cost that is inherent in your business model could be probably laptop systems, or, any other subscriptions and all those things. But it might be different for a brand. Which key resources are most expensive? So again, differs from brand to brand. It could be human resources. It could be, like for example, the suppliers and all these things. It again differs from brand to brand. Next is which key activities are most expensive. So for FemiSafe, the most expensive key activity would probably be logistics. So just like that, you can mention yours. Now, is your business more cost driven or value driven? It is again solely dependent on the founders of specific brands. It is okay if it is both. If it is cost driven, also it is okay. If it is value driven, also it is okay. There is nothing wrong in it. But just for you to get a clarification, make sure that you write down one of it. Next is sample characteristics. So basically, you have to mention your fixed cost, which is your salary, your rent, the basic utilities. Variable cost, again, it could be the products might have variable cost. Then what else? The logistics might be variable cost if you are a brand startup. Then economies of scale and economies of scope. So economies of scale basically means where all you can cut down the you know cost. So for FemiSafe, we can cut down the cost by increasing the volume. So instead of buying 1,000 or instead of manufacturing 1,000 products at a time, we can produce 10,000 products at a time. So it's like it gives us each product's cost will be less, which is economies of scale. So that's what that basically means. Next is your revenue stream. So your revenue stream is something that's known only by you. For what value are your customers willing to pay? So the average price of FemiSafe products are around $299, which is the average price. So if a customer comes, the minimum amount they pay is $299. So it differs from, again, industry to industry, brand to brand, startup to startup. For what do they currently pay? So are they paying for your service or are they paying for your product? How are they currently paying? Most of us use digital money, digital transaction. You can mention that. Or if it's a cash payment, you can mention that also. How would they prefer to pay? So for FemiSafe, most of our customers prefer to use UPI because everybody goes on phone and then they find our brand and then they purchase the product. So of course that. How much does each revenue stream contribute to overall revenues? So each revenue stream, so you might have multiple revenue streams. One is probably, for example, let's say you're selling a product, that's one revenue stream. Now, for replacing the product, you can again put additional cost, that's another revenue stream. So all these are revenue streams. So you have to clearly separate it and write it down. Now, types. So there is, as I said, now the revenue stream, there's asset sale, usage fees. So for example, if you are a tech startup, you are selling or you are onboarding a client to your platform. So you're basically giving them a subscription fee or a usage fee, or you're lending it, you're leasing, or there is licensing, advertising, and all these things. Now, fixed pricing is basically, it includes the list price of the product, okay? And it can be dependent on the product features, the customer segment, or the volume. So customer segment, if you're targeting on a very premium customer, the prices can be high. If you're targeting on a very, like let's say tier 4, tier 5, the prices can be very low. Dynamic pricing. So for example, in some tech companies or with some tech companies, when they onboard us for something, there's a negotiation or bargaining that's happening for us to use their platform. So you can include that also. Then there is yield management and real-time market. So for example, today if I'm charging 100, tomorrow it might change to 200. So it's like very real time. So this, whatever, the lean canvas that you have is, as I said, your Bible for every startup entrepreneur. It is very important, and at each stage, it helps you reevaluate your entire business. Probably when you fill out a business model canvas, you will get an idea that okay, probably these are the changes that I wanted to always make, or these are the changes that I could have made or I want to make. So business model canvas, if any of you have any doubts, please let me know, and I would urge you all to please fill it, because just take a print of it, fill it, and just stick it on your board, because as I said, it's been very useful for me even after 2 years of starting my business. In 2020 we started, in 2022 I did this, and it was really helpful. It gave me a very clear clarity. It also helps you decide that if you need to hire any more resources based on what services you're providing you to your customers or to your consumers, or what value proposition. So anybody, if you have any doubts, please ask me about the lean canvas. I mean, the business model canvas. You can put the questions in the chat if you wish. Or Aditya, you can take up the questions from them also, not a problem, and just send it across.
Yes, okay.
That also works, no problem.
So I can stop sharing, right?
Yeah, please. I think everybody has it in the chat and they've probably started, I mean, they've downloaded it. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyone, if you have any doubts, please feel free to ask. Or you can also just, put your questions to Aditya and
There is a question. To connect with customers in WhatsApp, we use what? Any other WhatsApp integration tools you suggest?
okay, you use Vati. So we are using Interact. We were initially using Interact and now we're using ConvertWay. So ConvertWay is a little more better, I feel. We've tried Vati, we've tried Interact. So you can try ConvertWay also. ConvertWay is very user friendly, I feel, and the charges are also quite less.
Any more questions? Yeah, okay. I think there is no more questions from the participants.
If you have any questions, you can just send it across to Aditya, and Aditya, you can send it across to me. No worries.
Okay.
And I will also send the presentation to you. You can just forward it with them.
How we find out our loyal customers when we first launch our product?
Not possible. It will take at least some time for you to find out your loyal customers because there has to be repeat purchase from your customer. So that's when they're loyal. So yeah.
Can we have Naurin's number?
Sure. I'll just put my number here in the chat. Okay, there's something wrong with my laptop. So you can just note it down. It's 97-466-50300. I'll repeat it once again. It's 97-466-50300. So I hope you guys noted down the number.
Can you tell something about traction?
Traction is something that we will have to wait again for 1.5, 2 years to see how much traction you've built. But you can definitely assess it in the first few months. If there is even a small month-on-month growth, then that's absolutely a very good traction. Yeah. Any other questions?
Could you please, yes, from Adra, yes, could you please share the initial steps taken to create the awareness or educate the society and also the finance management during that time?
So initial steps, again, as I said earlier, that we took was definitely social media. We used to put a lot of content. That's how we did it. We used to speak openly about it on social media platforms. On Instagram, we created a page for FemiSafe. Financial, initially, we did not take any funding. We were managing, we used to buy inventory using our credit card. We used to sell the inventory, pay back the credit card. So after 1.5 years of launching FemiSafe, we found an investor because we felt it was very important that we show some traction before we, take an investor for FemiSafe. So that's how we managed it. Any other questions?
No, I think.
Yeah, so then we can wind up. You guys have my numbers. Please feel free to text me and ask me if you guys need any help.
Did
And
you say you're sharing the presentation?
yes, I will be sharing the presentation with Aditya. So Aditya can just forward with you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
can I ask you another question?
Sure.
So, once we do an MVP, no, ma'am, what do you suggest? Whom do we hire first? Like, do we hire somebody for finance or productization? I mean, I'm somebody who's I'm building my product on my own. So
Okay.
who should be? Mine is I am a OPC. My company is a 1-person company. So if I find a partner, whom should I find? My ideal partner should be.
Your ideal partner should be somebody who has complementary skills. So I am somebody who doesn't like to, really work with the numbers and stuff. So luckily, my co-founder loves doing it. And at FemiSafe, I'm the product person, I'm the human resources, and I'm the operations person. So find anybody who has complementary skills. You know what your skills are, right? Find somebody who is able to manage the other half. So I think that's the best way to work with it. You don't need to really hire a finance person as such in the
Okay.
beginning. But
Thank
a
you.
co-founder means somebody who has a complementary skill than yours. So, yeah,
So may I ask you, like
sure.
when you started this, it was very important that you have a bank account and all those stuff, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
when you and your co-founder, of course, for you, it's family itself.
Mhm.
So, like even now, because when we go to start bank accounts, they
Mhm.
ask for so many things which are not with us for a business right away in the beginning.
Got it. Got it. Yeah.
So how
So,
do we sort that out?
yes. So we initially started it as proprietorship. I think it's much easy that way. Around 4 months down the lane, we converted it to private limited. So you can actually start it as a proprietor company, sole proprietorship, and then convert it to private limited. It's much more easy. It's much more cost efficient.
Yeah, so you convert it into a private thing is fine, but
Yeah.
how for the bank accounts, you still have to give your GST details and all that, which we do not have at the
You can take
beginning,
a
right?
GST. GST is very easy to take. So when we started FemiSafe, we started it in our apartment, this apartment. We took a GST for over here. They just need very, very little details, and that's it. And when you convert it to private limited, you'll obviously be taking the help of a professional. But initially, it was not that difficult for us to get a GST. It was quite easy. Like there's one
No,
sole
we do get
proprietor.
a GST, but then they've asked for a lot of things like, your rent agreement,
Yes,
your,
you will have to submit that.
dates, and somebody is coming to check out your books and all that. But we are still in the process of starting a business. So how do we account for that?
Oh, so you will have to show that you have started selling your product because only
A
then.
service, mine is a service.
Exactly. So you need to show that you've started selling your service or providing your service. So then, yes, it's possible. But when you're still building an MVP, which is not, get to go into the market, it's going to be a little tough. Yeah.
Correct, correct. So that is one challenge that I'm facing. Like, see, I've been doing this business for many years, but whenever you want to like really establish yourself into something, then you face a lot of hitches there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is why I always say, okay, why take the trouble? I'm a sole proprietor, might as well just continue that way. So it's always been a freelance because of that.
Oh, okay. So, but I think you can just probably, just take a company name, just register it, take a
That
G.
I've done with MSME.
Okay.
I've done that, but many other factors, like whenever you ask for a current account, that becomes a big hassle.
Yeah, current account actually, even we did not have until we converted it to private limited. It was all in our personal account. So once we converted into private limited, that's when we got a current account from the bank.
Yeah, because when you said that you paid through your credit card and then
Yes,
so
yes.
that's exactly what I'm doing right now. Also, I'm accepting into my account directly, but not under the name of my firm. What I'm doing because I do not have an account in that name.
Yeah, so that's possible after you convert it into a private limited.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions, anybody? I think there are no more questions. So we'll wind it up, Aditya, and I will share you the presentation so you can just share it to them. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Naurin. So the session was wonderful, and the breakdown of each component in the business canvas model, it was very helpful because all the participants for this cohort is early stage founders. So this is a very important session for them. And from the feedback itself, it was helpful and they have enjoyed your session. And the session was very interactive. You have taken so much time to interact and answer to all the queries of our participants.
My pleasure.
Okay, so thank you so much for the wonderful session, and I'll share the feedback from the participants.
Sure, definitely. Please do share the feedback.
Yes. Okay. So I think all of you hear that you must give the feedback. That is the only thing our speakers are expecting from you. So please fill up the feedback form. I'll share that into our WhatsApp group later. And also, if anyone missed to mark your attendance, please do it before leaving the session. So thank you, Naurin. Thank you, all the
Thank you.
participants. So yeah, let's meet at the session 4 of Restart. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Naurin.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Yes, you can leave. I'm waiting if anyone want to fill up the form to mark their attendance. I'm waiting for that. I think 2, 3 or more are there yet to pending. Anybody? Anybody out there yet to fill up the form? Please do that immediately. If I'm leaving this, if I'm ending this meeting, you won't be able to access the form. I'll be closing the attendance.
I'm not able to access the form.
This is the form. Please try again. Form link is in chat. Accessible now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Can I leave now? Mujita, Viji, Deepa. "21 responses only. So I think 25 above were there. Mujita and Deepa. Okay, thank you.